the one thing that's important about a circle, because the definition of a circle is all the points that are the same distance from the center. And what do you call that distance? The radius, right? So in a circle, the most important thing is finding the radius. Okay? So how do we find the distance between 2 points? The distance formula, right? And so the distance formula is x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. That's, remember from chapter 3 or 4, it was just that's the formula, right? Okay, so let's put in some information that makes it specific to circles. Okay, so the first thing is the center of an ellipse, a hyperbola, anything, as the center of anything, we label as HK. Okay, so XY is just normally the two letters we use to represent an ordered pair, right? But if it's the center of a circle, we call it HK. Okay, so if you see H comma K somewhere in your math textbook, you can bet that's the center of some shape, center of a circle, center of an ellipse, center of something. Okay? All right. So if you look at this, the distance is really, in our case, aren't we just looking for the radius? Right? The distance we're going to find is the length of the radius. So I'm going to replace D with R for radius. Okay? And then the ordinary distance formula is based on one general point, and then the second general point, right? We have x1, y1, and x2, y2. We don't know what those points are, so we just name them generically. But in circles, we know that one of the points is going to be the center. So instead of x1, y1, I'm going to use hk. So I'm going to take out x1, y1, replace it with h and k, because that's one of the points. Everybody with me so far? Okay. So that changes the formula. I haven't really changed the formula itself, but I've just changed the letters in it. Instead of D equals x2 minus x1, I've written R equals x minus h, because h is the x term of this point. And then plus y minus, and instead of y1, I made it k squared. Yes? Well, because we don't have an x1 and a y1 anymore, so we don't need to just differentiate between the two. But it wouldn't matter. You could call it x2 and y2. It would just, but you know how mathematicians are. They never write anything they don't have to. So since there aren't two x's anymore, they just use x. But if you want to label them x2, y2, it won't change anything. Okay? All right. Then to solve it, or to make it just easier to use, I'm going to square both sides and get rid of this big square root, because square roots are a pain in the neck. So I'm going to get rid of this. The opposite of squaring, a square root is square. So by squaring that side, I get rid of the square root. So I get r squared equals x minus a squared plus y minus k squared. Okay? And that is the equation of a circle. Because I know where the center is, I know what the radius is, and that's really all you need to know about a circle, because the definition is all the points equidistant from the center, and the distance from the center is the radius. So I need to know the center, I need to know what the radius is. And the x and the y are here to represent all the points around the circle. Okay, so this is xy, this is xy, this is xy, this is xy, all the ones that are on the circle. Okay, that's why we have that. We need those two variables there. They're like the placeholder for all the ordered pairs that make up this circle. Okay, so let's talk about the unit circle for a second. What makes a unit circle? Why do we call it a unit circle? Right, because the radius is 1. Okay, it's in the center of the xy axis, and its radius is 1. So actually, this isn't even r squared. This is just 1. Okay? So, and its radius, or its center is 0, 0. So its hk would be 0, 0. So technically, this is x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared. But again, in math, we never write anything we don't have to. And what is x minus 0? It's just x. So we don't write it. We just write x. Y minus 0 is just y. So we don't write it because it's just y. So 1 equals x squared plus y squared is the equation for the unit circle. Okay, let's see if we can write some more equations. Okay, we have circle P, whose center is at 0, negative 3, and its radius is 8. So remember the formula is r squared equals x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. Okay, so can I fill in some things from those? How about the r? Can I fill in the r? What is it? 8. So I get 8 squared equals x minus, do I know h? Yes, what is it? 0. Right, because this is the center, so this is h, and this is k. Plus y minus what? Negative 3 squared. Okay, then I just need to clean it up. We're done plugging in. I just need to clean it up. So I'm going to turn 8 squared into 64. And then x minus 0, isn't that just x? So I'm just going to turn that into x squared. And then y minus negative 3 is the same as y plus 3. So I'm going to add y plus 3 squared. So that's the final cleaned up version. Make sense? All right, why don't you guys, let's do an extra one here. Let's do circle N, where N is negative 4, 0, and the radius is the square root of 7. Okay, see if you can write the equation. Okay, make sense? Now let's throw in some glitches here. Right? If we have circle M, whose center is at 2, 2, and it's tangent to the x-axis. So personally, I would have to draw a picture. So let's draw a picture of what the circle would look like. So it's the center is at 2, 2, okay? And it's tangent to the x-axis. Okay? So I don't really have to draw the whole circle. I just need to draw that is tangent. Okay? So I need the radius, right? Because I have the center. I just need r to be able to plug it in. So if here's the center and here's the point of tangency, the distance between those two, would that be r? Okay, so how long is r? 2. So now I can just plug it into r squared equals x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. So 2 squared equals x minus 2 squared, because h is 2, plus y minus, because k is also 2, minus 2 squared. And I would probably, the only one thing I'd have to do to clean this up is I would change 2 squared to 4. Okay? Make sense? All right, another one that could throw a little problem in the works is that Okay, circle K passes through point 6, 4. So 6, 4 is on the circle. It has a center of 1, negative 8. So I still don't know R. How am I going to find R this time? If I know a point on the circle and the center. Find the distance between a point on the circle and a center using distance formula. So to use distance formula, just the regular one, not the one for circle, the one we use to find the circle is x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. 1 minus 5 is negative 5. Negative 5 squared is 25. Negative 8 minus 4 is negative 12. Negative 12 squared is 144. So 125 plus 144 is 169. And the square root of 169 is 13. So now I know R, and I know the center, so I can plug it into my equation. So 13 squared equals x minus 1 squared plus y minus negative 8, so wouldn't that be plus 8 squared? And I would make 13 squared 169. Okay? Why wouldn't I use 6, 4? Why do I use 1, negative 8? Right, it's a center. Right, the H and the K have to be the center. They can't just be any old point in the circle. All right, so are we okay with writing the equation? Okay, now let's go the other way. If I give you the equation, can you graph it? All right, so what's the center of x squared plus y squared equals 9? 0, 0, because remember this is x minus 0 squared and this is y minus 0 squared. Okay, so the center is at 0, 0. What's the radius? Careful, it's 3, right? Because remember, this is r squared. So if 9 is r squared, the square root of 9 is 3. So the radius is 3. Okay, so it's my center is at 0, 0. I put my center there. Radius is 3, so I'm going to go up 3, right 3, down 3, left 3, and kind of sketch in my circle. Kind of easy, right? It's easier to go this way than the other way, I think. All right. How about the next one? First of all, what's the center? Right. It's 3, 0. Why isn't it negative 3? Right, because it's x minus h. So x minus the h must be 3. Right? And what's the radius? Square root of 1? 1. So I go over to 3, 0, put my dot, then I go up 1, right 1, down 1, left 1, and draw my little circle in there. Okay? So far so good? I want you guys to try the next one. Find the center. The only glitch in this one is that it's not in standard form, right? So what do we have to do? Add x plus 1 squared to both sides to get it moved over to the other side. So that gives me x plus 1 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 4. Now it looks normal. So what's the center? Right, negative 1, 3. And what's the radius? 2. So negative 1, 3 is right there. And then up 2, left 2, down 2, right 2. Excuse me.